Let's update a game here before we get you out to the swamp. South Carolina, Georgia, Gamecocks on the move. Steven Garcia to Alshon Jeffrey. Now, Matt Stinchcomb, he loses the ball as he's entering the goal, actually about the 1 yard line. It's picked up by Torrey Gurley. But they're reviewing it. Perhaps Jeffrey was down. We will keep you posted. In the meantime, we get you out to Dave Neal and Andre Ware. Enjoy the game.
Well, thank you very much, Starry. It'll be a full house today inside the Swamp. Ben Hill Griffin Stadium as South Florida makes their first ever trip to Gainesville, a program that's only 14 years old, taking on the Florida Gators, a club that's been playing football for well over a century. Should be a lot of fun today here in the Swamp. Dave Neal alongside my partner Andre Ware. And Andre, when you begin to look at this Florida football team, I think people that follow the game understand there were miscues abound last week. Florida gets the win, but they fall 4 spots in the latest polls. And it's basically because they didn't look like the Florida team of old. They were number 1 in total offense in the country a year ago. Didn't look anything like that a week ago.
Yeah, execution was poor according to Florida standards and just didn't play the way that we're normally seeing the Florida Gators. Fall on the ground a lot of times. 8 fumbles in last week's game against Miami University. Losing 3 of those fumbles. Just execution-wise, out of sync most of that football game. But they got in. Mike Pouncey, John Brantley, early Sunday and started in film study. They worked thousands of snaps together. Don't expect to see the same Florida team that you saw last week.
Well, defensively, Florida was pretty good a week ago. But today their test gets a little tougher because this is a South Florida Bull football team that comes in here with a lot of quality athletes, and it starts at the quarterback, and then they got somebody on the outside, too, that can burn you.
Well, they got a couple of guys that make everybody smile, especially South Florida fans. B.J. Daniels is a quarterback that is just simply fantastic. He can kill you with his legs. He can kill you with his arm. He can get the football out. Dante Bogan on the outside is a big-time playmaker at wide receiver. He is a guy that took the first play of the game last week, 59 yards for a touchdown. And did I mention that big offensive line at South Florida? They've got an experienced group up there that gives them an opportunity to be successful offensively.
All right, well, there are plenty of storylines unfolding throughout this afternoon, but one of those is on the sidelines between these coaches. For more on that, let's go down to Kara Capuano.
Well, guys, the paths of these two head coaches first crossed way back in 1989 when Urban Meyer filled a receivers coach vacancy left by Skip Holtz at Colorado State. Following the 95 season, Skip's father, Lou Holtz, desperately needed a receivers coach at Notre Dame. During a coaching convention, Skip basically arranged a breakfast meeting between Lou Holtz and Urban Meyer, then snuck out the back door. Now, Skip insists his role in the significant leap in Meyer's career is minimal. Quote, "I just set up the blind date. Those guys did the rest." Over 20 years of friendship later, these two men will line up across from each other on the same field as opponents for the first times in their careers. And Dave, as you know, Skip told us that he and Urban actually spoke on Wednesday night. As usual, the banter between close friends, family, what's been going on? Nothing about football.
Well, it's all about football now, at least for the next 3.5 hours, as you look at the Swamp, where it is a hot afternoon. It feels like it's almost 100 degrees. The humidity is up there. There is not much of a breeze. Andre has been through a couple of shirts already.
I need a few more. I tell you what, it makes you wonder how you ever played in conditions like this. It is absolutely sweltering hot, where it's just no breeze, and you're down there in helmets and shoulder pads. Must be nice to be young, huh, Dave?
Well, Jeff Demps, one of those guys that is young, athletic, and he will return the kick as South Florida won the toss. They deferred, so they'll give the Gators the football first. Maikon Bonani will kick it off for the Bulls. And we are underway from Gainesville. Demps will take it at the 2-yard line. Demps to the 40. Wrestled down at the 43-yard line, a 41-yard return. And Florida sets up shop near midfield, and this Gator offense, I think a lot of people expecting some numbers today, better than they were a week ago. Remember, only 13 yards of offense in the first half last week against Miami of Ohio. John Brantley making his second start of his junior campaign. Good numbers, Andre, 17 of 25, but not a lot of yards.
Yeah, the yards were where there's a concern. Not a lot of passes down the field. He completed 68% of his passes and had 2 touchdown passes.
Out of the shotgun, snaps good, crowd cheers, but they will not cheer there. They'll say incomplete pass as Brantley arm was moving forward as he was hit by Terrell McClain, the 310-pound senior out of Pensacola.
And he's going to come just from nice inside move in a free alley to John Brantley, and he beats Carl Johnson, the left tackle. Just a nice outside and then back inside and free to the quarterback. Coaches describe Big Terrell as light on his feet and can run NFL ready right now.
Second down and 10. Handoff goes to the left side. Emmanuel Moody will get 3.5, maybe 4 on the carry, and that'll bring up a third down as we take a look at this Florida offense. Dempson at tailback. Now this receiving core needs to do more, not necessarily catching the football, but containing the perimeter, something that's been a point of emphasis throughout the week here in Gainesville. The offensive line gradually getting back to where they need to be, still missing Xavier. Xavier was out last week with an injury, but Carl Johnson back in the lineup at left guard after being suspended for a week. 4 receivers set on third down. Brantley can't handle the snap, throws, hits the umpire right in the head at the 48-yard line. I've never seen that. A bullet right off the brow.
Let me tell you something. Urban Meyer talked about South Florida being a SEC type football team, defensively for sure, because there is tremendous speed on that side of the ball. You've got about 4 or 5 jerseys around John Brantley. The snap again, problems with that, rearing its ugly head again, and that's going to just speed up the rush of the defensive lineman.
Chaz Henry will punt it away. It's a low line drive. That will settle in nicely if you're a Gator fan inside the 5. A 52-yard punt by Chaz Henry. And so South Florida will come on the field with their first possession backed up inside the 5-yard line. This is a South Florida team that posted some huge numbers offensively last week. 563 yards of total offense, which is the 4th highest number in school history.
Yeah, and it's good for 7th in the country after week 1. You talk about racking up some yards. This team, South Florida, can flat out go get it.
B.J. Daniels, a big reason for that offensive output, 15 of 22, 264 yards through the air. The sophomore out of Tallahassee, Florida, under center. He dropped the snap.
I'll tell you what, it just seems so easy, but when you get it's hot, that center's hand, sweat rolling down his forearm, onto his hand, on the football. Quarterback's trying to anticipate the snap and get out early, and it's just something that you take for granted, but it's tough.
Play clock down to 5. Here's Daniels off the right side, out over the 10. He's close to the first down at the 14. See where they spot it. It's a right foot spot. That may be good enough to move the sticks.
Well, he took on A.J. Jones. A.J. Jones is an outside linebacker.
That is a first down. Take a look at this South Florida offense. Mo Plancher, a 6th-year senior, the starter at tailback. Evan Landy, a former quarterback. He has become a tricky wide receiver. Hard to cover him. The offensive line, these guys have combined for 124 games and 73 starts. Whew. And a flag comes down. See if it's a delay of game.
Prior to the snap, delay of game on the offense, 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
Last week, this South Florida team hit with 7 penalties for 50 yards. An area that, it's when you go on the road in an environment like this, Skip Holtz said the obvious. You can't turn the ball over. You can't shoot yourself in the foot with bad penalties. You can't back yourself up. Now they're looking at 1st and 15 from about the 10. Off the left side. That's Mo Plancher. Gain of 10. That'll bring up 2nd down and 5. Look at this Florida defense that played pretty well last week, especially this front 4. They've got they'll roll 9-10 guys into this front 4. Tratto and Hunter among those guys. Jay Howard had a great game last week as well. The linebacking core, A.J. Jones, Jelani Jenkins, the redshirt freshman, and Brandon Hicks. And in the secondary, this is Ahmad Blackshow, the senior out of Lakeland, Florida. Also, Jeremy Brown gets a start today. And you'll notice Josh Evans in at safety. Will Hill will not play again today. More on that in a moment. Hand off to Plancher. Needs to get it out near the 25 for a first down. That'll be about 1.5 yards shy. But once again, Will Hill, Andre, an All-American type safety, out again. Urban Meyer says you got to be committed in the classroom.
Yep, you got to handle your business away from the football field as well as taking care of things in practice. Didn't feel like that was accomplished, and so there's Will Hill. He gets to watch the game, at least the first part of it, from the Florida sideline.
3rd down and short. Here's Daniels. He'll pick up the first down and then some. He's out near the 34-yard line. Finally brought down. A good block by Mo Plancher, brought down by Jonathan Bostic.
Boy, Mo Plancher threw a nice block that freed up his quarterback, B.J. Daniels, before Jonathan Bostic was able to get there. But you watch him right there, just chopping down the edge. And it doesn't take a whole lot for a guy like B.J. Daniels. You'll see him here. Nice little play fake as if he's going to throw the football, pulls it down on a quarterback draw. And some guys, Dave, they need a quick pass, quick hitch to get themselves into the flow of the football game. B.J. Daniels, it's a run. It's contact.
Daniels will keep it on a little option. Tosses it near side. He's met at the 41. That's Lindsley Lamar. Sophomore out of Tampa picks up 6 on the play. Ahmad Black coming over from his safety position.
And Lindsley Lamar, he's used to toting the football, used to carrying it. He's a converted running back who's now switched to receiver, and that happened this past spring. So he's pretty good with the football in his hands. So they like to get him in option-type situations and moving him around.
Nice little drive here for South Florida. If nothing else, they've at least switched the field. They were backed up inside the 5 to start this drive. Daniels trying to get the edge. And the first down. He'll be maybe a half-yard shy. Give him 3 on the carry. Jeremy Brown and Jelani Jenkins converge for the stop.
Well, there's the speed that Urban Meyer talked about at the quarterback position. Jelani Jenkins, any other quarterback around the country, he's run down and tackled behind the line of scrimmage and doesn't even threaten the first down marker. Not with B.J. Daniels. This is a guy with a tremendous amount of speed, he's fast enough to make plays with his legs, and then he will just scare you to death throwing the football down the field.
Saw B.J. trying to run past A.J. Jones. They're both about the same size. A.J. the outside backer, B.J. the quarterback at 6'1" by 215. A.J. 6'1", 225.
You know, now here's a situation. You just run my favorite play. Quarterback sneak. Don't mess around with it. Don't mess around with trying to get the quarterback center exchange. All that stuff tightened up, taking the football back to the depth of the running back, having him get hit because of penetration. Just get behind that big offensive line and wedge in there for a first down.
Center Samson Genus, of course, the bell cow of this offensive line.
And he's the best guy up front. So you want two pretty good centers in this football game. He and Mike Pouncey on the other side.
Daniels 3 carries, 25 yards. Quarterback sneak, picks up the first down and a little extra. this has been a really good, solid drive by South Florida. They got the first down after they were backed up inside the 5. Then they had to delay a game. They had 1st and 15 inside the 10, able to get that first down.
Well, you get it back to 2nd down, and then now it's like 2nd and medium after being 1st and 15. Now you give yourself a chance. You catch up. You're back in and flow offensively in terms of your play calling. Everything in the playbooks opens up to you when it's 2nd and medium.
So first down and 10 now for the Bulls. Clock ticks at 8:22, 8:21 to go in the opening quarter. Whistle. Flag in the defensive backfield. Could be another delay of game against South Florida.
Just when you start complimenting them, and then all of a sudden here it comes again where you're starting behind the down and distance marker. And Todd Fitch, the offensive coordinator for South Florida, driving him crazy because, you know, you can call plays all day long when it's 1st and 5 if you get the offsides penalty, or 2nd and medium, but 1st and 15, now you're just trying to get it back within reason.
Toss sweep. Here's Blanchard. Cuts it back near midfield. That'll bring up 2nd down. For an update, let's head back to our studios. Dari Nowkhah.
All right, Dave, let's talk South Carolina, Georgia. Great opening drive for the Gamecocks. Went about 8 minutes, and it ends with Marcus Lattimore. He carried it 10 times for 50 yards on the opening drive. Gamecocks leading Georgia 7-3 late in the first, guys.
Thank you, Dar. That'll be an interesting game. I mean, both those teams came out of week 1 looking pretty sharp.
Both teams, Georgia, especially offensively, the young redshirt freshman.
Here's Daniels. He'll step up and fire over the middle. It's high. Looking for Evan Landy. Josh Evans broke on the football, and it sailed over his head. Well, that could have been picked off.
Yeah, Landy, he's an excellent receiver. He caught 5 passes last week and really has a good feel for route running and coverages. An ex-quarterback, he was moved to wide receiver in the spring, but can really bounce around and find the soft spots within the zone coverages. He's not going to see a whole lot of zone today, though, with Florida playing man right in your face.
10th play of this drive. 9 of them have been rushes. Daniels all day to throw. Quick slant over the middle. It's caught. First down, South Florida. A gain of 13 yards. Dontavia Bogan makes the catch, and he is slow to get up.
And, you know, there's a first window on a slant right there, and then the second. And he was actually open in both windows for the quarterback, B.J. Daniels, and they can ill afford to lose Dontavia Bogan because he is a bona fide playmaker. Good-looking athlete. When you turn the film on, he is a guy that just flat out jumps off the film. Took, Dave, the first play last week, 59 yards for a touchdown. And it's good to see him kind of get up and bounce to the sideline.
One of the reasons you see guys like Lindsey Lamar and Evan Landy, converted players from different positions over there, is because they also lost A.J. Love to a knee, Sterling Griffin to an ankle. They hope to have those guys maybe back by midseason if they're healthy enough, so they're already depleted in numbers. As you look at this drive, it started inside the 5-yard line. Good play fake. Daniels. Threw it short.
Kind of skips it out there. It looked like A.J. Jones may have come free in the face of B.J. Daniels. But Dave, you look at it, in South Florida, ball on the 5-yard line, backed up, and they've just kind of taken it, and it's a good confidence-building drive here early in the football game. You're on the road. You've had some mishaps, down and distances behind the marker, yet you've converted and moved the chains. This is tremendously important for South Florida.
2nd down and 10. Daniels cuts it back inside. He's down to the 31-yard line before he's wrestled back
Yeah, he's feeling it today. You talk about a guy that shows up and he was ready to play. He was named to the All-Big East freshman team last year. And we talked about his playmaking ability. Well, look at that. You usually see a running back stick his foot in the ground like that and change directions. Nope, it's not a running back. It's B.J. Daniels, the quarterback of South Florida.
Now, these guys practice in this heat every day. It's not uncommon, but still, this defense has been on the field for over 7.5 minutes on this drive.
Changes when you put the adrenaline, you add the adrenaline to it. Game-type situation.
Daniels pitches it. Lindsey Lamar inside the 20. Out of bounds at the 11, and a flag comes in late. Maybe a face mask. Will wait, but a gain of 20 as it stands right now. Josh Evans finally runs him out of bounds.
Well, we had a chance to talk to Todd Fitch on Wednesday, and he told us there are 3 things he wanted to accomplish in this football game. That's handle the environment. I think they've done a fabulous job of that. Be physical, and that's chopping down the edges, open up lanes. I'll give you the third one here in a second.
Horse collar.
Yep. And then to make the big plays when they're there. And plays like this. The opportunity presents itself. Nice read, a flip of the football out to Lindsey Lamar. And that's considered a big play. South Florida right now off to a tremendous start here on the road in the Swamp.
Cannot grab a player from behind around the shoulder pass.
Yes.
First and goal. Here's Daniels trying to find some room. Kicked it to the outside. He's down to about the 2.
I don't know if South Florida, B.J. Daniels going to have anything left once this football game after the first quarter. But I tell you what, it's like a boxer coming out in the first round, and I'm going to just throw everything. I'm going to knock you out with I'm going to give you everything I got and try to knock you out in the first round right here. Nice little zone read. And he's able to get out on the edge. But look at that. The ability to make players miss. Janoris Jenkins, the corner coming up, swings and he misses. I'm telling you, this B.J. Daniels, he's special.
Yes. Second down and goal. 16th play of the drive. Bootleg. Daniels can't outrun the Gator defense. William Green, the junior out of Hoover, Alabama, yanks down B.J. Daniels for a loss of 8.
Tell you why I don't like the play, because he's spent as a quarterback. He's run. Now nothing in those legs left to get outside. And now you're expecting William Green started last year's season opener, and he's a heck of a player, just a junior. A tremendous amount of speed. But then there, I'm thinking a little play fake and maybe find the tight end open in the corner of the end zone. That may be coming. That may be the recipe right here for South Florida.
Florida's opening drive was 3 plays and a punt. It lasted just over a minute. You're looking at the 17th play coming up for South Florida's B.J. Daniels couldn't get that helmet off quick enough to get some water. Timeout, South Florida. They're knocking on the door. Back in a moment. South Florida looking at a 3rd down and goal here in the first quarter. Now today's 1st and 10 line brought to you by Toyota. See your local Toyota dealer for deals that will make you feel like an MVP. Toyota moving forward. Demetrius Murray in the backfield to the left of B.J. Daniels. Daniels pump fakes going to the corner of the end zone. Knocked away. And a flag comes down.
Yeah, you got to turn around if you're Jeremy Brown. Try to make a play on it, and Dontavia Bogan is back in the football game. Their big-time playmaker on the outside. That's going to be a result of a first down. But, Dave, you look at it, this drive started on their own 5-yard line. This is usually what SEC football teams do to other opponents. Guys from the other conference usually get a taste of this. Florida fans don't like the call, but now it's 4 passes, 13 runs, and about 87 yards plus that penalty. And you see right here, nice little double move. Gives him a slant and then starts back to the outside. And definitely pass interference.
Oh, absolutely. So now you're looking at another 1st and goal. Ball sits just a shade outside of the 2.
Oh, I like that tight end to the corner of the end zone. Look at all that room up top.
Daniels will throw it, lofts it up. Touchdown, South Florida. Andrew Ketchel with the touchdown reception.
Look at all the room up top. You play fake, holds the linebackers, and all you need is just one little step. Andrew Ketchel to the back of the end zone, and he beats Jonathan Bostic, who bit on the play fake.
Boy, you called that. You ran that route a little bit, huh? Your day?
No, not very many tight ends. Slot receiver or two, but no tight ends.
Here's the point after from Eric Schwartz. How about this? 7-0. The South Florida Bulls make the 2-hour trip north to Gainesville and march it down the field in 9 minutes and 58 seconds to take the lead. To enter. Icon Bonani will kick it off, and it's a deep kickoff that Demps will take a knee in the end zone, and Florida will bring it out to the 20. It's been a while since we've seen this Gator offense, but they're about to take the field. When we come back, South Florida up a touchdown. For our Capital One Cup Impact Performance of the Week, and the Gators offense has been sluggish, not just last week, but their first drive went 3 plays and they had to punt, and Jeff Demps might be the guy that can get them over the hump. Log on to CapitalOneCup.com to vote for this week's Impact Performance. Demps averages over 7 yards per carry in his career.
He's averaging, actually last week, averaged 12.2 yards per carry.
Brantley in the shotgun. They had a bobbled snap on that first series. This time he fields it, steps up, has time, throws a strike right to Deontay Thompson, who falls on a knee. He'll pick up the first down. That's a gain of 11.
Well, that snap wasn't ideal. It was just a little bit wide right, but he was able to kind of handle it. Watch the snap right out to the right. Almost put that one a little bit too far right. Being the athlete he is, John Brantley handles it and still times it up with Deontay Thompson on the outside. They're waiting on Thompson to really emerge. They want him to become the player that he was out of high school. #1 wide receiver in the country out of high school.
3 catches in week 1. In the pocket, sails it out of bounds. He was looking for Trey Burton, the multitasker of this Gator offense.
Mr. Versatility, Trey Burton. He can play quarterback. What you say? He lined up at 4 different positions last week. He'll play a little quarterback, tight end. He'll give him the football. He can do it all.
Scored a touchdown on his first carry. Second down and 10 now for Florida. The inside toss to Trey Burton. He gets a couple on the play before he's brought down by Sam Barrington, the middle linebacker.
Well, you mentioned his name, and coaches just light up. Athletic player. He's smart, where he can move around and execute from a lot of different positions on the field.
Mark Schneider, the defensive coordinator for South Florida, says he's got a good combo at that middle backer spot. He's got Linares, who's got the speed. Barrington, more downhill guy. 5 receiver look from Florida on 3rd down. Brantley all day to throw over the middle to Thompson. He has the first down over the 45. Terrell Young on the coverage, a gain of 12.
And he saw a lot of coverages last week. They go zone there, and Deontay Thompson able to recognize zone and find a nice little soft spot. Watch it right here. Zone coverage, you see the breaks, and then there, the hole. You get right in there. Nice throw and a nice catch to move the chains for Florida.
Directing traffic. He sends Xavier Nixon from the right side to the left side. Out of the eye. They'll give it to Demps. He is met in the hole immediately by Jaquan Williams. Gain of 1 yard, but a big hit from the senior out of Apopka, Florida.
Well, we know Jeff Demps can run. I mean, you're talking a guy that can run 9.96 in the 100 meters. But right here, how tough is he? Can he move the pile forward? And right there, the advantage goes Jaquan Williams of South Florida. He's not a big guy. Demps trying to run him between the tackles at 5'8", 190 pounds.
Williams will get a breather. Low snap, Brantley fields it over the middle. Thompson had it and nearly picked off. Darrell Young on the coverage, batted in the air. Quentin Washington almost had it as well, but Thompson had a drop last week. Thompson had a couple of drops a year ago. Said he's trying to break that image of people thinking he can't hold on to the football.
He's got to hold on to this one. This one's just a post route. It's timed well. The eyes of John Brantley kind of moves the defenders and opens things up for Thompson. Just got to hold on to that one.
Now you're looking at a 3rd down and 10 from the 47. Empty set for Florida. 3-man rush. Little dump off pass. Nothing happening on the play. Gain of 6.
Yeah, we got a chance to talk to Mark Snyder, the defensive coordinator for South Florida. And he said, look, when we have an opportunity to tackle in space, we have got to come up and execute and tackle Demps and Rainey and Thompson in space when we have those opportunities. And they have done that today. You give a guy like Demps a pass, and he can break it and hit the home run on you. You have an opportunity to get him on the ground. You do so, and so far, South Florida has passed the test.
Chaz Henry to punt it away. Wobbly kick, fair catch called for, and a tough catch made by Terrence Mitchell on the run. He held on to it. A 29-yard punt, nothing on the return. We'd like to recognize our friends at Allstate for their charitable contributions across the country. Since 2005, Allstate has donated more than $2.1 million through the Good Hands Field Goal Net program to benefit University General Scholarship funds. All right, Andre. 17 plays, 96 yards, 9 minutes, 58 seconds.
Yeah, and throw in 12 yards and penalties in there as well. They went backwards and just kind of stayed true to the plan and still executed and got themselves a touchdown pass.
There's B.J. Daniels, had that 2-yard touchdown throw for Andrew Ketchel for the points to this point. Handoff left side, out over the 20 goes Mo Plancher, give him 4. You know, this last drive was almost textbook.
Yeah, and this is right here. They were able to run the football with B.J. Daniels. A couple of occasions in which he was able to pick up first downs and continue to move the chains. It was basically he was the running game in this first drive for South Florida. Gets him down close. Nice play there, athletic play, and then the touchdown pass to Andrew Ketchel in the corner of the end zone. Capped that drive off, as you mentioned, 96 yards in 9 minutes, 58 seconds.
And that'll do it for the first quarter of play. That was dominated by South Florida. The Gators hoping to get on track offensively. So far, their offense hadn't been on the field very much, at least through the first 15 minutes. South Florida with an early lead. Back on a hot, steamy afternoon where the heat index now probably up over 100. It was at 99 when we started this game. South Florida not feeling the heat right now because their team leading 7-0. Some news and notes from around the SEC as we hit week number 2 now on Thursday night. Another defensive battle, Auburn, Mississippi State, where the Bulldogs had their chances in that one, Andre.
Yeah, Cam Newton looked pretty good in his debut in the SEC at quarterback. And in Georgia, South Carolina, that's going to be a pretty good one. A.J. Green suspended for the 4 games.
Of course, Georgia appealing to get that sentence reduced. And later on today, Penn State, Alabama, rematch of the 1979 Sugar Bowl. Great defensive stand by the Crimson Tide. A lot of fun all day over in Tuscaloosa. And a flag comes down on 3rd down and about a yard. Matt Moore has been a busy man.
Well, it's going to be another delay of game penalty when they stop it like that. And I'll tell you, the first thing
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 45 of the offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. 3rd down.
you got got to kind of stay in there. I thought it was another delay of game penalty. I was going to tell you, the first thing I did as a quarterback is you find that play clock, but this is Florida early. You see the pressure on John Brantley, that fast defensive unit that we talked about for the University of South Florida, and making plays, standing in there. Well, it has been tough for the Gators here early in the ball game.
Pressure comes from Florida. Daniels pulls the ball down, takes that over the 25 to the 27-yard line. Picked up 3.
Well, it's like when you have a quarterback like B.J. Daniels, as a defensive coordinator, Terrell Austin, you can never be right. Because, you know, he stops him short there, but it makes it extremely difficult to have success defensively because of his ability. When things break down, no one's open, he can pull it down and make plays with his legs.
South Florida able to get away with a couple of penalties on their opening drive. Not so on this second drive. Nice punt from Justin Brockhouse. Caught on a big block. Flags come down as Rainey gets it near the 30, a 48-yard punt.
Yeah, definitely a block in the back, and this one's coming back, a 15-yard penalty. Now, you got to judge that whether or not you can get your helmet in front of the guy that you're trying to block. And if you can't, you got to pull off. And this is going to cost Florida some field position.
So that will back the Gators up.
Well, keep in mind, they had excellent field position that first drive.
Right, opening kickoff.
Opening kickoff was big time for the Gators, and unable to do anything with it.
3 plays and a punt.
Blocking the back. During the return, number 93 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
You'll see it right here as Chris Rainey trying to get outside. And there's the block in the back by Kendrick Johnson right here, just right behind the shoulder pads, and that one's going to get called every time.
So first down and 10 for the Gators. Ball sits at the 17-yard line. Brantley throws near side. Pass is caught by Carl Moore, making some guys miss. Gain of 7 on the play. Mistral Raymond, one of those white jerseys, in on the tackle. The senior out of Palmetto, Florida.
Skinny, nickname Skinny, 6'2", 190 pounds. And he is a guy. He is a great story. Former walk-on who's now a captain. Turned himself into a starter. Well, that's what college football is all about right there.
Played safety a year ago, now moves to the outside to play that cornerback position. There's a handoff to Rainey. He's got some room out over the 35 now. He's to the 38-yard line. Mistral Raymond trips him up. A gain of 15, though, for Chris Rainey.
A nice block on the outside, and they have speed now. They can get themselves back in this game in a hurry. This is a nice little counter play back to the other side, and Rainey reads it, picks up a nice block, a nice couple of blocks. Trey Burton out in front blocking for him. But Rainey and Demps, well, they can get you back in a ball game in a hurry.
Timeout taken by Florida. You know, it just seems as soon as Florida makes a couple of plays, something.
Florida. That is their first timeout for the first half.
Something stops them, whether it's a bad snap, a fumble, a timeout. They just can't seem to get in rhythm. They'll see if they can continue this drive when we come back. 7-0, South Florida leading the 8th-ranked Florida Gators. First ever meeting between these two schools. College basketball fans, don't miss out on the action as 8 D1 men's basketball teams compete in the 5th annual Old Spice Classic in Orlando, November 25th through the 28th. Be sure to log on to oldspiceclassic.com to get your tickets today. So after the timeout, it's 1st and 10 for Florida. Moody gets the handoff near side, nowhere to run. Andre, let me ask you this as a guy that's played a lot of football. I'll get to that in just a second, but here's a look at the teams that'll be down in that Old Spice Basketball Classic. Among those in the SEC, the Georgia Bulldogs. Mark Fox should have a great team this year. Trey Tompkins
Pretty good
leading the way.
basketball teams in that tournament. Temple, Texas A&M.
Maybe they'll invite us down there.
Maybe so.
But it never seems like Florida can string together 3, 4, 5 plays without something going wrong. How much does that affect a team?
Well, especially offensively, it's big because you want to establish a rhythm, and they have yet to really establish it here in the first half.
Brantley going up top. First throw down the field this afternoon is incomplete, looking for Andre DeBose, a very talented redshirt freshman getting his first action today. Did not play last week in a situation where even Coach Urban Meyer was surprised that DeBose didn't get on the field when it was told to him that he never saw the field. DeBose, a guy that a lot of people thought would have the tools and bring some of the things that Percy Harvin had to this Florida offense.
Yeah, big guy, 6 foot, 190 pounds, and has the ability to just flat out make plays on the field, and he's usually making one about every practice. I'm surprised he didn't get himself into the game last week.
Just taking a look at Steve Adazio, the offensive coordinator, watching this group on third down. Pass over the middle, incomplete, looking for Deontay Thompson. That'll bring up a fourth down.
Well, it got to be a surprise to Florida, though, that the speed of this South Florida football team, Jarrell Young, the safety there, able to make a play on Deontay Thompson. Look at him, step for step as he breaks the in route, and then getting a nice hand in there to knock the football away, stride for stride with these Florida receivers, as if they're glued to him right now in the first half.
Mark Schneider, when we asked him about his defense, first thing he said was, yeah, we're fast. He was even surprised after week 1 how fast his group was. Chaz Henry with a booming punt. Fair catch called for by Terrence Mitchell, and a flag comes in. He might have been interfered with.
I think he's kind of waiting on the flag to come in. And he has got to have room to field the punt. He's going to get South Florida out of some poor field position, give him some decent field position here. You see him right here. Given the fair catch signal.
Oh, I didn't see any contact.
And then Cody Riggs. It's not the contact. I think it's just the room to fill the punt. This could get waved off, though, Dave.
I think they may
Here we go.
Wave this flag off. We'll see.
The foul was for kick-catch interference. However, he was pushed into the receiver. Therefore, we have no foul.
No harm, no foul. Fair catch was made.
Cody Riggs
he's
is
a
the
happy
guy
man.
he's exhaling right now.
So South Florida will have the football at the 10-yard line. There is a timeout on the field. When we come back, we'll take a little closer look at the place they call the Swamp. Long Champion Apparel has been showcasing the tradition and history of the Southeastern Conference, and today we take a look at historic Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, better known as the Swamp, which was originally completed way back in 1930. Under Urban Meyer, the Gators 32-2 in this building. 112 wins since 1990 as South Florida, a little toss sweep to the near side. Not much room from Demetrius Murray. Great article this week by Pat Dooley, one of the better writers around the country, talking about the success of Florida football in the last 20 years. It's been 20 years ago, Steve Spurrier was hired here at University of Florida. And he was talking about, you know what, there were some great players that came along before 1990, but as a team, there was not much success to speak of. And when you look at the last 2 decades, what's been accomplished really with Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer, it truly is amazing. The numbers.
National championships and SEC championships. A lot of wins for this Florida program.
Here's Murray. Coaches real high on this sophomore tailback out of Buford, Georgia. Jelani Jenkins finally brings him down, but a gain of 10.
I'll tell you what, Jacob Sims, the right tackle, threw a nice block in there and just kind of opened up a nice little hole along that right side. You're going to see it right here. This is just, see number 64 just take and mash that side of the defensive line down inside, allowing Murray the ability to pick up the first down. Excellent blocking up front.
Pressure comes. B.J. Daniels will step back in the pocket and fire downfield. Looking for Bogan. Incomplete. At around the 30-yard line. Jeremy Brown on the coverage.
Well, I thought he might have gotten there a little bit early on Dontavia Bogan. He beat him on the post route. You'll see it right here, and the ball's delivered right on the money, right there. Excellent play. He actually gets over and tips the football away. I thought the left hand was kind of riding a little bit. But that would have been a little tic-tac flag right there.
Jeremy Brown
let him play.
Getting a lot of work today. Moses Jenkins out at least 6 weeks with a hyperextended elbow. So Jeremy Brown getting a lot of run this afternoon. There's B.J. Daniels, speaking of run, out over the 35 to the 37, a gain of 13, and that will move the chains.
Boy, you need 10? Just let B.J. handle things for you. The flow, the fake to the running back is what's holding linebackers, and then he's able to pick up a block, and it's just like a lead blocker right there. The fake, see the flow of the defense go left or right, and then back comes B.J. Daniels the other way, and there's a nice little crease in there for him to run the football. Boy, look at the dominance, Dave.
Goodness gracious.
Time of possession. You couldn't tell me that another team outside of the SEC would come into an SEC building and dominate in time of possession.
Here's B.J. Daniels, throws on the run. Looking for the tight end. Andreas Shields. And Norris Jenkins on the coverage.
Shields is a big guy, big target who can really get downfield in the passing game. And missed him last week on a corner route, but he's got great size at 6'4", about 245 pounds. Runs well, has good hands. But they've got some athletes now at the University of South Florida. A lot of Florida guys on this team. Shields from Tampa, Florida, Wharton High School.
Second down and 10. Daniels makes a man miss and gets it out to the 40-yard line. Gain of 3. Now, Todd Fitch, the offensive coordinator for South Florida, has been with Coach Holtz for 13 years. But interesting twist. Todd Fitch was actually the quarterback coach at Iowa State under the defensive line and assistant head coach for Florida, Dan McCarney. We've talked about at the top of the show how good friends Skip Holtz and Urban Meyer are, but there's so many coaching connections, and I think that's just very interesting that Dan McCarney matching wits against Todd Fitch.
Boy, it's a small coaching fraternity when you boil it all down.
Quick hitter intended for Lindsey Lamar, and through his hands a little bit behind him, and that will bring up a 4th down. Ahmad Black on the coverage, so South Florida will have to punt the football away.
Well, right now, as talented as B.J. Daniels is, both running and throwing, right now he's trying to zip everything. The pass to Shields along the sideline, thrown a little bit too hard. Tries to go to Lindsey Lamar there. Little slant route thrown too hard for his receivers to handle. No more touch on the football.
Justin Brockhouse gone with the punt taken by Chris Rainey, and he is met at the 10-yard line. A 50-yard punt, no return, and the Gators are backed up with 9:05 to go here in the second quarter. Well, we'll have more exciting SEC football coming your way next Saturday as the Vanderbilt Commodores and their first-year head coach take on the Ole Miss Rebels. How about Jeremiah Masoli? We'll get some action today.
They're trying to bounce back from a game last week. They lost in overtime to Jacksonville State. You go down to Oxford. Nice place to go in and visit, do a football game.
Robbie Caldwell frustrated. The Vanderbilt coach took on Northwestern last week in Nashville. Had a chance to win that game. A couple of things went wrong, including a couple of missed two-point conversions. Out of the I formation. Just a straight power play, gets a couple of yards.
Well, here, this is an attitude, kind of a tone-setting drive right here, a starter to this drive. We're going to line up tight, go some big formation, and then we're just going to try to knock South Florida off the football. When John Brantley comes to the sideline, that means Trey Burton going in at the quarterback position.
Well, Steve Addazio said definitively we will see Trey Burton take some snaps as a quarterback this afternoon, and here you go. The true freshman out of Venice, Florida. He'll keep it. Bouncing around to the 15. Driving to the 17. Gives Burton 4, and that'll bring up a 3rd down and short situation.
And ideal. When you start on your own 10-yard line, you're just trying to move the chains and get yourself in a position where you're comfortable. You get it to 3rd down and short, and now you're ahead of schedule. As Steve Addazio says, last week they could never get themselves back on schedule. Fumble snaps, pre-snap penalties, things of that sort. Always starting behind the down and distance marker. This time you're ahead of schedule.
3rd down and 2. Florida with an empty set. Brantley hits a slant out over the 20. Pass is caught. That will be good enough for a 1st down. A pickup of about 4.5.
Boy, he's just so accurate with the football and the timing. Right there, he gets to the top of that drop, just a nice little settlement of his feet, and the ball is out to Deontay Thompson on the outside. Look at this, collected, and that's classic right there. Look at that strike. Boy, that gets me fired up here in the booth, seeing somebody slinging around like that. No wasted movement, just right out of there.
Just over 7 minutes to go as Trey Burton takes the snap once again on 1st down. This time he is stuck at the line of scrimmage. And looks like a flag will come out.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. There's nothing extra at the end of that. And it's going to cost South Florida 15 yards. I don't know about that one. There may be a little home cooking involved there, Dave.
Matt Moore will give us the call as he was standing right on top of that play.
Dead ball, personal foul. Number 57 of the defense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. 1st down.
Jaquan Williams penalized 15 for the Bulls.
I mean, everybody's in here. They've got him stopped. No whistle yet. And they're just going back. You hear the whistle there. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Let him play.
I'm with you, Andre.
Let him play.
We see that 10, 12 times a game.
Coach Meyer approves of it, though.
They need all they can get right now. This offense is really struggling today. Florida's offensive numbers, 45 yards through the air. Brantley drops it off to Demps. He's got all day to run. Knocked out of bounds.
Got a flag.
At the 26, but a flag back at the 38-yard line on the sideline. It'll be a gain of 33 if it holds, but that flag may be bringing this back.
One of the receivers on the outside trying to free up Demps. And that's what Coach Meyer talked about, was blocking on the perimeter. And doing that so many years, they've been so good at it. And last week, poor job of doing it. This one going to alleviate a big play by Jeff Demps on the outside. You'll see it right here as it comes into your screen. Right there working outside. Carl Moore, the senior wide receiver, gets flagged for holding.
During the run, holding, number 9 of the offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. The play results in a 1st down.
A wave off the 33-yard pickup.
You're going to see it right here as he's trying to pick up the block for Jeff Demps. And right there, you just got to let him go. And he's holding Jarrell Young, the safety, free safety to that side of the field.
1st down and 10. Moody trying to stretch it outside. Making a couple of guys miss, and now a bunch of white jerseys come flying in. Gain of 3 for Emmanuel Moody, a guy that coaches. We talked about it at length yesterday.
Yeah.
Where, as fans, you look at Emmanuel Moody and you go, this guy has all the tools, and you're waiting for him to transfer from Southern Cal, but he just hasn't been able to do it.
And they look at you and say, yeah, exactly. They're waiting on him. Keep waiting. They're continuing to wait for him to become the guy that refuses to come out of the football game because he's playing so well, and they're continuing to wait. How long they wait, Dave, is the question.
He'll get this carry near the 40-yard line. Gain of a couple.
They want him to take over that position and be the main guy at running back for them. He's a big guy at 5'11", 215 pounds. Good speed after transferring in from USC. And he's battled with, some injuries, in fairness to him. But they are waiting for him to break out.
They say he's healthy. He's as good as he's been since has been here in terms of health. He left a situation at Southern Cal where they had 7 or 8 All-American type running backs. Inside shovel pass to Amarius Hines, the tight end. Nothing happening on that play.
Boy, and South Florida, give them credit. They are flying to the football, and when they get there, they are arriving in numbers. David Bedford, the big defensive end to that side, played it about as well as you can without biting on John Brantley's fake. Right here, he looks as though he's trying to go outside. You've got a guy for the quarterback in Joseph, the outside linebacker, and it allowed David to make a play on the runner.
Florida going forward on 4th down and 3. Brantley, good clean snap, has time, throws. Great catch on the far side, Carl Moore.
Well, that's just want to right there. That ball's thrown high and behind to the outside. And Carl Moore is a big guy, 6'4", 217 pounds, working against Quentin Washington, the corner to that side. And it's outside, but look at that. That's why you like big guys right there. They can stretch. You throw it around them. They can make plays for you. Those little guys, you got to hit them between the numbers sometimes.
Carl Moore, guy got frustrated last spring, actually left the team for a few days. Decided to come back and be a member of the club. They're glad he is. Brantley going up top, looking for Thompson. He caught it! And dropped it.
Oh, boy, that was a nice play, both by he and Washington. Got a little battle going on in the back of the end zone there, and I thought Thompson had come away with the football. Brantley gets blitzed. He realizes that he's only got a short period of time. Throws a nice ball high so Thompson can adjust to it, and he just can't hold on.
2nd down. Brantley hits Thompson at the 25. Coverage by Washington, a gain of 11. And now Florida's starting to get a little bit of rhythm.
Well, this is what we expected. When you talk to about Florida and how they were going to change and kind of get away from the Tim Tebow style of offense and resemble more of what Chris Leak did here as a passer. And now you get them spread out and allow John Brantley to throw the football. And I think that's where he's most comfortable. Not really running the spread stuff and having to read, but just right there in the pocket and distributing the football around the edges.
13th play of the drive. It started back at the Florida 10. Brantley tried to throw it away. Almost didn't throw it far enough.
What? Jaquez Jenkins, I tell you what, almost got there. And that ball was being thrown away to the outside. Patrick Hampton with some quarterback pressure there. And Brantley's just trying to throw it to the sideline. And I tell you what, it almost didn't get there. Almost picked off by Jenkins. You want to talk some speed now. There is speed in those white uniforms.
Flags come in before the snap.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 67 in the offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. 2nd down.
Well, there you go. That's what you're talking about right there. And you finally start to get that rhythm going, and then you have it disrupted by a false start or a holding, something that takes you backwards as opposed to being able to get some steam and go downhill.
So 2nd down and 15. Ball sits at the 31. Handoff. Some running room for Jeff Demps. He gets bumped out of bounds at about the 22-yard line. Give him 8 on the carry. Mistral Raymond runs him out of bounds.
When you talk about a running back just needing a crease, and it couldn't be more true than when you talk about Jeff Demps because he's so fast. 9.96. Wrap your hands around that one. That's some speed, my friend.
Fastest man in college football.
And that's legit. He went to 2 years ago, went to the Olympic trials and ran 10.01.
Brantley to the outside, incomplete. Looking for Deontay Thompson. Mistral Raymond knocks it away at the last moment.
Well, they called Mistral Raymond the quarterback in the secondary, and you see the difference right there in yardage. It's been kind of dominated here in the second quarter, but no points yet for the University of Florida. They kind of caught up in terms of total yards, but not on the scoreboard yet.
39-yard field goal. Interesting, Caleb Sturgis has a bad back. It was kind of a game-time decision on whether or not he would kick today, and he misses the field goal wide left. Well, the Gators had a chance to put some points on the board. They let it get away.
Coming up on the Cellular South halftime report, Matt Stinchcomb joins me. We discuss what is wrong with that Florida offense. Also get you caught up on what's going on. South Carolina able to run all over Georgia. Now get you set for Penn State visiting Alabama. All coming up at the half, guys.
Thank you very much, Dari. I mean, this has been a perplexing kind of day if you're a Gator fan.
Yeah, he just kind of leaves you scratching your head as you know, the first half. We get closer here to halftime, but just really out of sync.
And the flag comes in, like possibly false start.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 73 of the offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
Hey, here's what I do. You know, you come out of a break like that and you come on the field, the ball's changed hands after the kickoff or after the missed field goal. Just give them a right at the line, let's go. First sound where you allow those guys to come off the football. Seems like every drive they've had a false start and they're starting 1st and 15.
Here's Plancher. He's not getting past A.J. Jones. Just a couple of yards on that carry. Good one-on-one defense from A.J. Jones. That's the old Oklahoma drill right there, huh?
One-on-one in the hole. And somebody's going to win. And we're falling one way or the other.
Today's 1st and 10 line brought to you by Toyota. See your local Toyota dealer for deals that will make you feel like an MVP. Toyota moving forward. 2nd down and 13. Here comes some pressure, it appears. And once again, Damian Edwards, who's playing right now, a tackle for Jamar Bass, has popped up out of his stance twice.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 73 of the offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. 2nd down.
Well, that'll get you a trip to the sideline right there. Didn't take long. We got big Jacob Sims back in the football game.
Four-man look from Florida. With a slant caught by the tight end Shields. Gain of 12. They needed 18, so a 3rd down and 6 coming up.
Which is all you wanted. Just get it to 3rd down and medium, and now you're right back on pace in terms of play call.
Let's check in with Kara down on the sidelines.
Well, guys, defensive coordinator Terrell Austin, when we asked him what worries him about B.J. Daniels, what kind of problems does he pose? He said plenty. He will make something out of nothing. If he's not doing it with his feet, he's doing it with his arm strength like you saw in that last pass.
Daniels nowhere to go. Finally throws it over the middle, and it's picked off. Threw it right to Ahmad Black, who now has 2 interceptions in his senior campaign.
Well, it looked like it was actually a screen they were trying to set up. And at that point, once everything's broken down, throw it at the feet of the receiver. Right here, trying to get it to Mo Plancher and set the screen up. Don't force it in there. Just throw it down at his feet and then punt the football and play defense. You got a minute before the half, so that's why you have to be kind of focused on everything that's going around you. A minute to halftime, punt and play defense, force Florida to go the distance rather than set them up at point-blank range and allow at least a field goal attempt here before you go into halftime.
First mistake by Daniels. 2 timeouts for the Gators. A minute to go before halftime. Brantley hit, hammers, he throws, passes, caught down at the 6-yard line by Deontay Thompson, a gain of 23.
And you got one of the South Florida players down. Looks like it's David Bedford, the defensive end, and he has had one heck of a first half. But watch the collision with John Brantley here. Somebody hits him high, one other guy hits him low, but still accuracy right there. Not only does Thompson get the 1 foot down that you need in college, he taps it down as if he's making an NFL catch. Boy, sometimes it's tough to play quarterback.
Well, Bedford's a young man. The coaches were very high on. Said he has been a difference maker this year on that defensive line. Been making a lot of plays.
Big athletic guy, 6'4", about 250 pounds. Had an interception last week. He's got that long body that helps him as a pass rusher to get to the quarterback. Big off the edge, and hopefully he'll shake things off and get himself back into this football game.
Now, there were a lot of people thought the South Florida team would be, quote, rebuilding this year with first-year coach Skip Holtz.
Yeah, they lost George Selvey and Jason Pierre-Paul, both guys to the NFL. Lost 26 combined sacks from those two guys of a year ago.
So now Florida looking at 1st and goal from the 6. Mike Gillislee gets into the football game in the backfield wearing 23. Play action to Gillislee. Brantley throws to the end zone and airmails Carl Moore.
And they kind of try to get to the exact same play that South Florida scored on, to the corner of that end zone. It's closer to the left hash, so you got a lot of room going to that corner route.
Here are the 5 draft picks that South Florida lost a year ago. You lose 5 guys that were drafted in the top 7 rounds of the NFL draft. You're losing a lot of talent.
Yep. That's some big-time playmakers right there. Both corners, 2 defensive ends.
Out of the shotgun on 2nd and goal. Brantley, whistle blows. Flag down in the backfield and at the line of scrimmage.
I'm betting it's a false start. What do you think?
Prior to the snap, false start, number 67 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
It just kills the momentum. You want to line up, you want to go first, first sound on the snap count, come downhill, take advantage of the momentum that you've captured on the interception. The big catch on the sideline by Deontay Thompson, and that right there just kind of lets the air out of the bubble right there.
For Florida, that is their 6th penalty of the afternoon for 43 yards. Now it's 2nd and goal from the 11. Brantley throws it straight. Touchdown, Carl Moore.
Well, they're waiting on a receiver to really emerge and lead this group. And they might have found him today, the senior Carl Moore from Roseville, California.
Sturgis, point after is up, and it is good. It took nearly 30 minutes, but the Gators finally get on the board. After the interception by Ahmad Black sets the Gators up with an excellent field position.
When it's just a little in route from the slot position, you'll see Carl Moore right there off the edge, sets him outside, works him. You actually have a mismatch with the linebacker trying to cover up on Carl Moore. Mike Linares, the middle linebacker right there. And you see him, nice little out move, cannot redirect as fast as the receiver Carl Moore. And now it's just stand in there and throw a strike as John Brantley did.
Brantley now today, 12 out of 22 for 115 yards and a touchdown.
Well, if you're B.J. Daniels, Dave, you don't try to go out and atone for it in 44 seconds. If you get an opportunity to get some points, so be it. But don't try to go out and, atone from that interception before the interception and then wind up making another mistake and giving Florida more points going into halftime.
Well, one timeout for South Florida. Webster back to return the kick. The line drive kick that will sail out of bounds. So now you give South Florida decent field position now with the errant kick, as Caleb Sturgis, as we told you, has a bad back, and we didn't know if he would even kick today.
Free kick, out of bounds, on the kicking team. Ball be placed at the 40-yard line. First down.
I'll tell you what, this is excellent field position. They've got one timeout left here in the first half, and clock's going to stop to move the chains after each first down. So 44 seconds with a team like South Florida's plenty of time, Dave, to go down. And right now you're just thinking field goal. Get yourself in field goal range, going to halftime with a lead. Any more than that is icing on the cake.
South Florida 30 plays, 150 yards of offense. There's some pressure. South Florida picks it up. That pass is picked off. Janoris Jenkins, but a flag comes down at midfield, so hold on.
I think they're going to call pass interference on Janoris Jenkins. And that may be another 15-yard penalty in favor of South Florida.
And another flag back in that South Florida backfield. So two potential.
At the end of this, we may not have play to play, right? Just do it all over again.
Two flags on the play. Holding, number 55 of the offense. Personal foul face mask, number 1 of the defense. Those penalties will offset. Replay first down.
So that takes, basically at the end of the day, it takes 7 seconds off the clock. And it'll be 1st and 10.
Well, let's do it all over again without 7 seconds. That's where it kind of hurts South Florida, because you need you hope that you get the 7 seconds back. We're going to just erase everything.
Daniels, he'll keep it and run with it. Daniels out over midfield into Gator territory. That'll stop the clock for a moment after he picks up 11. Matt Elam, the strong safety, the true freshman, in on the tackle.
Just 7 seconds now, 30 seconds left here in the first half. And plenty of time. They still have the timeout. I'll pick up the pace here a little bit.
Over the middle, pass incomplete, down around the 35. He was looking for Shields. Coverage by Josh Evans.
Now, think about this for a second. The play took 7 seconds for B.J. Daniels to drop back, pull it down, run the football. Yet they waste 17 seconds to run a play that resulted in an incomplete pass. Sense of urgency, got to speed up a little bit. If you're the quarterback now at South Florida and B.J. Daniels.
Looking to the outside, pass incomplete. Bogan, the intended target.
Well, I thought Bogan got behind Janoris Jenkins on that side, and they had a predetermined route called where he was going to run a comeback along the sideline. And it allowed Jenkins to be in position because he was already beaten and underneath the route. If he continues down, they've got a single safety in the middle. I'll just throw it on the outside and allow Bogan to make a play for me.
Well, Eric Schwartz, their field goal kicker, his long is 50 yards. Had that against Cincinnati last year. So they need to get down inside the 35 for any chance. Pressure on B.J. Daniels. He will throw it deep on the run. And it's picked off at the 10-yard line. Evan Landy, the intended receiver, slipped down. And Ahmad Black with the interception, his second of the game. And that will do it for the first half. A half that saw South Florida dominate the first quarter, while Florida dominated the second.
I don't care if this is just an interception going to halftime. It still affects you mentally going into the locker room where you hang one up there. You now you realize that you've thrown two interceptions and allowed Florida back into this football game.
Let's go check in with Kara.
Coach, like last week, defense sets up the offense for a score. How would you grade the offense first half?
C or below a C, but Johnny's starting to get a little bit of his rhythm. We're getting some wide outs, starting to get open a little bit, so we're starting to hit it a little bit.
What's going to be your specific message to him in the locker room, Brantley?
Get them hydrated up and get ready for a second half of great football, because it's a good team we're going against, but we'll be ready to go.
We look forward to it. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
All right, Kara, thank you very much. We are tied at 7. Coach Meyer thought this would be a good contest, and so far, he has been right on the numbers. Let's go to Dory Noka with the Cellular South halftime report.
All right, guys, thank you much. Welcome into the Cellular South halftime report alongside two-time Georgia All-American Matt Stinchcomb. I am Dory Noka. So they've got 162 yards of offense as I look, which is a drastic improvement from last week for Florida. But it still looks ugly at times. Why?
Well, the snaps, it's in John Brantley's head, I think, at this point, and maybe even in Mike Pouncey's head. When you're thinking about it, look, that's something that should almost be second nature. And we saw this to start the game, bad snaps. And it's not just the ones that he can't field, but it's affecting the rest of their offense as well. But John Brantley finally able to find the end zone with this Florida offense with just a few minutes left to play in the first half. But this is not the bounce-back type of performance that they were wanting. You want to come into this game and start fast.
Swamp here in Gainesville, Florida on a hot, muggy afternoon. Tied at 7 between the Bulls and the Gators as we're moments away from third quarter football. Dave Neal back alongside my partner Andre Ware. And Andre, a lot of talk about both quarterbacks. You know, Urban Meyer told us in our meetings yesterday that he felt that John Brantley was average last week. He also said that B.J. Daniels of South Florida, a very, very good, solid quarterback. Give me your assessment of both guys here after 30 minutes.
Well, I think there's been some good and some bad from both sides and both quarterbacks in this football game. B.J. Daniels able to run the football, pull the football down, and make some plays. That 96-yard drive they went on in the first quarter and then capped it off with a touchdown pass. But then here's the bad side right here, forcing it. Should have thrown the football away, trying to set up a screen pass here right before halftime, adding to the momentum that Florida already had. Then there's John Brantley, who I thought was very accurate with the football. Just some protection problems early where he ends up rushing things, fumble the snap. That thing reoccurred from last week. And then right here, the accuracy in which he puts the football. There, the touchdown pass to Carl Moore to cap it off to tie this football game up. So I thought there was a little bit of good from each quarterback and some bad as well.
Well, it was B.J. Daniels 3 for 12 throwing and John Brantley 12 of 22. Time for our Bud Light playbook, and we're going to go back to the Florida touchdown, a play that you kind of saw before it actually happened.
Well, sometimes you can formation things and get a mismatch where you have Carl Moore right here, and you know, then he's going to oversee the coverage. And John Brantley right here sorting things out and able to just kind of move the chains. Deontay Thompson on the sideline. That shows you the accuracy of John Brantley and able to move Florida down the field.
That wasn't a touchdown play. It was a play that set up the touchdown. Deontay Thompson and Carl Moore are kind of guys that have stepped up at that wide receiver spot here this afternoon for Florida. As you look at the rush total for Florida, just 42 yards. This is a club that when you go back to a year ago, this is an offense that in terms of rushing the football averaged 221 yards a game. That was second best in the country. Our Crystal first half stats. Crystal, nothing like it. Opening kickoff. A short one down to the 20-yard line, and the Bulls would take it out over the 30 to the 34-yard line. Let's head down to the sidelines. Check in with, I'm sure, a rather warm Kara Capuano this afternoon.
Dave Neal, you have no idea. Talk to Skip Holtz, the head coach for South Florida. His message to the guys, very simple. 30 more minutes of football. He was proud of their effort, won the first quarter, lost the second quarter, and then he said to me, "It's a football game." And you should have seen the focus and fire behind his eyes. Important injury note, guys, for Florida. Chris Rainey will be out this second half. The slot receiver punt returner with a concussion out for the game.
Wow, that is big news. Big news as well as Murray gets the opening handoff. Duke Lemons read it the whole way. Loss of 3. Duke, the senior, out of Westlake Village, California. You know, I had a feeling that we might see Demetrius Murray.
A good football game?
Yeah, and Demetrius Murray, too. When you talk to the South Florida coaches, Todd Fitch, Skip Holtz, about their running game, they kept coming back to Murray.
Oh, he's a sophomore, talented player.
Daniels throws it to the outside, gain of 7, finds Shields, his tight end, coverage by Ahmad Black, who, by the way, has 2 interceptions this afternoon.
Boy, that's a matchup they like because they can formation Shields out wide, and then the safety has to go out wide with him. And at 6'4", just about 6'5", he's got the mismatch on Ahmad Black, who's just 5'9".
Slant over the middle, a little bit behind the tight end, Shields, and that'll bring up a 4th down. So the Gator defense holds tight out of the locker room. Listen to the crowd.
Yeah, there's the momentum. And they had what they wanted with Shields in the matchup with Black. You're going to feel like he can get inside position and you just throw the football around that big body. But just a little bit too hard. A little bit too much mustard on it from B.J. Daniels, and Shields can't hold on to it. And now that momentum that Florida had going into the locker room kind of mounting right now.
Pressure comes, and a flag comes down. Running into the kicker perhaps as the ball sails inside the 10-yard line down to the 6. A 54-yard punt. Now it was 4th down and 6. And they're going to say it's a 5-yard penalty, so it's going to be 4th down and 1 if they take the penalty, I'm assuming here.
Punt the football.
And I think they may let this go and put Florida back inside the 10.
I would decline it as well, and you have Florida pinned deep as opposed to trying to re-punt it and then pin them in a little bit inside the 5.
On the defense, 5-yard penalty at 4th from the end of the kick, 1st down.
Maybe half the distance when you're that far down. But right here you'll see the roughing the punter right there, or running into the punter. Florida I still like the momentum of Florida. I like before the half the way the defense started to play, creating 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions. And then now John Brantley kind of finding a little rhythm at the end of that first half. Different Florida team that started this game.
You and I were talking during the break. You know, it's almost like Florida's still trying to search to find out who they are and what they are offensively.
I think what they are as a team that can pass and throw the football. You're trying to run some stuff with the spread that Tim Tebow ran that they don't respect John Brantley and his ability to run the football. So basically they want Brantley to carry the football and love to get shots on him. Now just, realize what you are and throw the football around with John Brantley.
Gillislee in at tailback. He'll get the handoff off the left side. And Gillislee driving the pile out over the 10 near the 15-yard line.
I'll tell you what, you talk about Gillislee. This is a guy that Urban Meyer said is about in the top 5 players in the entire program. They love this sophomore.
Yeah, top 5 most important players is how he termed it. Let's go down to Kara.
Well, guys, that's because Gillislee makes big, hard-hitting contributions on special teams, and we all know Urban Meyer loves his special teams players.
Gillislee getting some work now on the offense, not just special teams. Empty set, Brantley hit, but gets the pass completed to Carl Moore out near the 16, gain of about 4 on the play.
Well, you see why they've waited on Carl Moore to really emerge as a wide-out threat, and good pressure on the quarterback by Terrell McClain, who they feel like the coaches at South Florida feel like he's NFL ready. But going back to Moore, I mean, 2 or 3 times we've seen in this game where he's made some catches that the ball wasn't thrown in the ideal spot for him. He had to adjust, and I think they found a player that they can kind of hang their hat on at wide receiver.
4 catches today. Young man missed last year, took a red shirt with back surgery. Here's Gillislee. Out over the 25 to the 28. First down, Florida, gain of 9. Sam Barrington with his 5th stop this afternoon for the South Florida Bulls.
Boy, Gillislee, he can hit a home run, can he? Or at least bring some excitement and some electricity to this Florida offense at the running back position, something that Demps didn't give him in the first half, nor did Moody.
We talk about Gillislee in our meetings and, where does he stand in the rotation? And he said, basically paraphrasing here, knocking on the door right now to get some carries. Brantley dropped, lost the football. Who's got it? I believe Florida won the scrum.
Looks like one of those big Florida linemen able to get back in there.
John Legist with a big hit on Brantley, causing the fumble. Maurice Hurt.
Yeah, he's the guy
hustling to get the football.
Kind of Johnny on the spot right here, but Brantley, and you see right there, difference. That's the difference right there in a Tim Tebow and a John Brantley. Tim Tebow maybe steps up, and that's where you got to know the protection as well. You go outside, you're basically stepping out right into the defender closing in. You step up in the pocket, you avoid that sack. But that's all going to come with game experience, Dave.
Gillislee on another carry. That'll bring up a 3rd down and 17 for this Florida offense. Last week against Miami of Ohio, they had those 8 fumbles, lost 3 of them. Of course, the numerous bad snaps. Not all on the center, Mike Pouncey. Some where Brantley had his eyes off the football and slipped past him. Opening drive was the first real bad snap, but since then it hasn't been much of an issue. Good snap there. Brantley trying to set up a screen. Throws it over the head of Mike Pouncey, who will be an ineligible receiver downfield.
Yeah, and I tell you what, it was great coverage on the part of, great recognition on the part of the South Florida defense. They're trying to set that screen up to Demps, and they recognized it, covered it up, and nowhere to go with the football for John Brantley.
Ineligible receiver downfield, number 55 of the offense. That penalty will be declined. 4th down.
Well, you hear the rumblings. We're in there trying to get us something cold to drink at halftime, and all the Florida fans, and not really no explanation and rumblings about the way this team looked in the first half, or the first game and a half of the season. Some unhappy campers in the press box.
Jazz Henry to punt it away. Terrence Mitchell back at the 37-yard line to return the punt. A line drive, tight spiral. Mitchell has a chance to field it at the 32 and is swallowed up on the spot. 48-yard punt, nothing on the return, and South Florida will have the football. We are tied at 7 in the Swamp with 10-12 to go in the 3rd quarter. South Florida's offense back on the field when we come back. We'll also take a look at some games in and around the SEC.
Perhaps sniffing a chance to win the SEC East this year. Georgia, South Carolina. Steven Garcia hit from behind and fumbles. Georgia picks it up. Bulldogs down 8 as they're heading into the end zone. Oh, Washaun Ealy fumbles it. Stephon Gilmore picks it up, and it remains an 8-point South Carolina lead. David Andre?
Thank you very much, Dari. Here, South Florida on 1st down. Handoff off the left side. Demetrius Murray down to the 40 and knocked down at the 36-yard line by Josh Evans. A 32-yard pickup on 1st and 10.
Well, I'll tell you what, they talked about running back by committee and wanting Mo Blanchard to really assert himself. But when I looked at the film, this is the guy in the running game that really caught my attention. Number 21, Demetrius Murray, right off the tackle in a nice cutback. And you see it right here, right out the back door. And now it's just speed to the end zone, or trying to get to the end zone. I'll tell you what, that's just lining up, coming off the football right there.
Quick snap off the left side. Gain of about 5 for Murray. There's Will Hill. Let me just bring this point up, folks. If you're just joining us, Will Hill, the starter, All-American potential, for the second week in a row, coach's decision not to play him. As it was told to us, there were 3 things. Urban Meyer, he expects you to be good in the classroom, off the field, and in general, just be a good teammate. Somewhere along the line, he failed in one of those, or multiple. He's not playing today. B.J. Daniels inside the 20, down to the 15.
Well, B.J. Daniels working the option to perfection, and this is what we saw early in the football game from South Florida when they went on that 96-yard run. Right here, you read the edge man, and here just kind of stringing things out. He takes the pitch man, no hesitation from B.J. Daniels, turning up the field, picking up the first down. That's how you work the option right there.
Single setback. Demetrius Murray will get the handoff and drop the football. Florida says they have it, and they do.
Well, it looked like a low handoff right around the thigh area of Demetrius Murray, and he seemed surprised, kind of booted the football forward, and Florida comes up with it. We'll see here. We'll see if we can find the mesh point where the football. No, it looked like it hit him right between the 2 and the 1. And Duke Lemons is the guy that comes up with a fumble recovery, but right there, looked like a solid handoff. Maybe he took his hand, didn't feel it right, or I don't know. That looked pretty solid, didn't it, Dave?
Yeah, it's probably taken a few thousand of those types of handoffs. And when he just flat out dropped. Boy, what a change of events.
And now, B.J. Daniels involved in 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and then, I'll go ahead and give a quarterback part of that, the blame on that.
Wow, that's throwing one of your own under the bus.
Every once in a while, quarterback will mess up. They'll make a mistake every blue moon.
Urban Meyer wants a timeout right before the snap, and he gets it.
I'm out.
We'll take the timeout as well. Tied at 7. 8:51 to go in the third quarter. Time now for a look at our Nissan Heisman moments. And, of course, the Florida Gators certainly miss one of college football's greatest players of all time. The 2007 Heisman winner, Tim Tebow, 57 career rushing touchdowns. A school, an SEC record, over 12,000 career yards. And I think at the end of the day, a couple of national titles, and put the team in last year, at least had a chance until Alabama got him in the SEC championship game. What a career. Special time to watch him play football.
Well, they miss him, but you know what? He's a Denver Bronco now, and you got to get things ironed out without Tim.
And Brantley, nice throw, caught by Thompson out over the 30. Excellent throw from John Brantley, a 19-yard pickup. Washington on the coverage.
Sometimes a receiver will win for you, and sometimes a quarterback throws a guy open. This is pretty good coverage by Quentin Washington right there, right in the spot. And John Brantley leads Deontay Thompson where he doesn't have to break stride. You're right, great throw.
See if that gets this Gator offense moving forward. Out over the 30 to the 30. I'm marking at the 33-yard line. Moody will get about 3.5, maybe 4. D.D. Lattimore, the outside backer out of Athens, Georgia, a freshman, in on the tackle for the South Florida Bulls. Steve Adazio, the offensive coordinator, the man that kind of kept this program together while Urban Meyer took his leave of absence after the football season a year ago.
He's impressive to sit down with now. Passionate coach. And loves this Florida program.
I was about to say the word, man. He is all about the Gators, and he's all about his offensive line. He's also the offensive line coach. Big sweep off the left side. Here's Demps. Stays on his feet to the 20. Cuts it back. Touchdown. What a run from Jeff Demps. 62 yards.
A nice block out on the edge, kind of kept putting things down. They pulled Marcus Hurst the right tackle to the left side. They collapse things with Marcus Gilbert, the left tackle, and you see the receivers, Jordan Reed, working downfield to help Demps and free him to the end zone.
Sturgis, point after, is up, and it is good. Last week, Jeff Demps rattled off a 72-yard touchdown run. This time it goes for 62 yards. A young man in his career has averaged over 7 yards per carry. Now you know why. 14-7 Gators. Demps with a 62-yard touchdown run. Before that carry, he had 3 rushes for 13 yards. You want to talk about a home run hitter, you're looking at him. Jeffrey Demps, the junior out of Winter Garden, Florida.
With just a little crease, and he will make you pay with 9.96 speed in the 100 meters.
National champion in the NCAA in the 100 meters a year ago. And what's amazing is he's going so fast and he stumbled and never lost his balance. Sturgis, good kickoff despite the bad back. And South Florida will bring it out to the 20. Time to revisit our Bud Light playbook, and let's go back to that touchdown run.
Well, they go tackle over. You're going to see Jordan Reed in this formation, the tight end line up here, and you got 2 tackles on this side of the formation. You get a pull and a seal block right there on the outside. Nice little handoff. You see Maurice Hurt and Marcus Gilbert. Nice blocks on the outside, and that crease we talked about with Jeff Demps, and then the edge blocking from Jordan Reed, hustling down the field. Right here, we met with Urban Meyer. Pause it right there. You don't need a big block, just a little seal. Just a body in the way to free Jeff Demps and get him into the end zone. Excellent play by the Florida offense.
Handoff off the left side to Murray. Nothing happening now. Florida has taken advantage of 2 South Florida miscues. An interception with some time left on the clock in the second quarter allowed Florida to stick it in the end zone, and then a fumble as the
driving down the field
allowed Florida to get the football back, and 3 plays later they scored the touchdown.
You cannot turn the football over on the road or anywhere. Home, on the road, that'll get you beat.
Daniels spins and fires. That pass is knocked away at the last moment by the freshman Cody Riggs.
Well, they got high praise for Cody Riggs. On the outside, man coverage and able to close on Stephen Bravo Brown, another freshman that the South Florida coaches like. He's a walk-on that he'll be on scholarship before long. They really, really like the way that youngster plays.
Daniels 4 out of 15, 43 yards, couple of picks this afternoon. Movement off the left side of that line against South Florida. Kevin Guidry, the tight end.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 45 of the offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. 3rd down.
Let's go check in with Kara.
Well, guys, expect to see a lot of number 31 Cody Riggs here in this second half. Jeremy Brown is being treated for cramps, and he's really struggling with the heat.
I have a feeling that won't be the first guy we hear is being treated for cramps today. The heat index up over 100 here at the Swamp. DJ Daniels steps up in the pocket, fires down the field, batted away at the last moment. What a play from Janoris Jenkins to get a hand on the football. Looking for Stephen Bravo Brown down the near sideline, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, and then Josh Evans comes over to kiss Stephen Bravo Brown a little bit on top of a great play by Janoris Jenkins, but trying to catch him in between cover 2, and that's a weak area of the defense behind the corner in between the safety. And right there, it's a nice little finish to the play by Josh Evans. A little reminder.
Here's the punt from Justin Brockhouse-Kahn, and Janoris Jenkins back to return the punt. Dancing around, has some room, gets a block. Jenkins down to the 36-yard line. Excellent return, a 50-yard punt, but a 30-yard return, and the Gators are in business.
Well, you don't think momentum plays a factor in a football game? You turn the football over going into halftime, and then all of a sudden Florida mounts a tremendous amount of momentum, and they haven't looked back. Janoris Jenkins right here. It feeds through the defense. It feeds through the offense. And now special teams getting a little piece of Old Mo.
Let's go check in with Kara. Has more on Jenkins.
Well, guys, as you know, the phrase from Urban Meyer, competitive excellence. Janoris Jenkins is returning punts because Chris Rainey is out. Look what he did.
Stepped up big. Brantley's trying to step up now. Pass caught. Robert Clark, the true freshman, first down around the 20. 14-yard pickup for the true freshman out of Palm Beach Gardens. Quick update on the Wisconsin Badgers. Let's go to Dari.
Well, guys, John Clay having another big day. The junior tailback, one of the tops in the country. Last year's Offensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten, and here he is, 95 yards and 2 touchdown runs for Wisconsin as he seeks his 7th straight 100-yard game. Badgers now rolling.
Thanks, Dar. 14-7 here. Just under 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Now the I formation. And off to Moody. He's off the right side. Now he's moving the pile inside the 15. They'll spot it at the 13. Sam Barrington finally bringing him down.
Those aren't boos you're hearing, is Moody. All of a sudden, the fans have gotten behind Emmanuel Moody. And
well, he's a great kid. I mean,
he really is.
He is what you want as a person on your club. I mean, he's just a good, solid guy, and people are rooting for him.
Just like the Florida offense needed a wake-up call, he got a wake-up call. Gillislee comes in and starts running, and all of a sudden it gives Moody a little wake-up call.
Moody will get it again. Catch it back inside the 5, down to the 3. Terrell Young with the tackle, and it's first and goal, Florida.
Well, now you're getting that big offensive line. Gilbert Johnson, Pouncey to that left side. Everybody being moved around a little bit. And you see the blocks right there up front. Dave Neal could hit that hole.
On a good day, if I've stretched. Gotta stretch.
Stayed open a long time, big guy.
Gators will line up in that eye. Gillislee in at tailback. It'll be Gillislee off the left side. Powers his way. Touchdown, Florida. Some smash mouth football from the Gators results in 6. Boy, has the tide turned here in the Swamp. 4:44 to go in the third quarter. Sturgis trying to make it a 21-7 game, and he does. That was 4 plays, 35 yards, just a minute 40 off the clock. Emmanuel Moody set it up with a couple of nice runs, and Gillislee caps it off from the 4.
Well, you see here James Wilson moving over to left guard, and you get great blocks by Nixon. Xavier Nixon up front, and the pile's just pushing forward. I tell you what, you're right. The tide has turned. This Florida offense starting to resemble the Florida offense of the last 4 years under Urban Meyer.
You know,
but it's still a lot of time. If I'm South Florida, it's just one play at a time. We need to score, but we need to go down and put some plays together to be successful and get into the end zone. This is an important drive because you can't allow this wave to keep going as it has for Florida.
You know what I liked about that drive? They just lined up in the eye and said, stop us.
We're not going to trick you. We're not going to throw it out on the edges. We're going to line up, get behind this big offensive line. And talking to Steve Adazio yesterday, he said, we want to be physical. Right now, in the third quarter, they were able to do that in that drive, be physical, and just bring it to the Bulls of South Florida.
And now there's some life back in the Swamp on a hot, muggy afternoon. First ever meeting between these two clubs. South Florida's only been playing football for 14 years. Gators, 104 years. But South Florida trying to get in the mix in terms of football in the state with Florida State, Miami, and the Gators. They went to Tallahassee last 17-7. In for the ball on the return, and he has stood up at the 20.
Let me tell you something now. For a guy that loves special teams, a coach that loves special teams, the way Urban Meyer does, he has got to be pretty impressed with how these units are covering and blocking and punt returns, and then the kickoff coverage right there.
Take a listen to that return.
Ooh. Robert Clark closed the gate in front of the ball right there, baby.
.437 to go in the third quarter.
We have awakened the swamp.
Look at B.J. Daniels. He gets 10 yards on a play that should have been stopped at the line of scrimmage. Jelani Jenkins brings him down. And let's check in with Kara one more time.
Well, guys, that last drive by Florida reminded me of Urban Meyer's comments yesterday. He always tells us the Gators do not run an offense of trickery. If you block well and give it to the fast players, speed kills. And that's certainly what we saw from Moody and then Gillislee with the finish.
I'll tell you what, it's easy when you get the big guys, those 5 big guys up front working in sync and creating some creases. They got the speed to definitely hit them.
Daniels throws on the run, pass is caught and then dropped. Intended for Stephen Bravo Brown, but it was Jalen Watkins with a big hit to knock it out of Bravo Brown's hands.
Another freshman stepping in and making a nice play for this defense of Terrell Austin. Actually, a nice job of improvising because it was a double move. They were trying to get Bravo Brown, Stephen Bravo Brown, up the sideline, a little curl and go. It didn't work out. Watkins was in perfect position. He shuts the route down and then comes up and makes a nice play on the football.
Well, B.J. Daniels has struggled throwing the football. Now just 4 out of 17, 33 yards. He'll cut it back the other way. He hasn't struggled running the football. Needs a block on the outside. Gets one, and we'll pick up the first down at the 46-yard line. 13 yards on that carry for B.J. Daniels. Now 13 carries, 101 yards.
What a great block by Dontavius Bogan on Jalen Watkins on the outside as he redirects, and he picks up a nice block right there, coming right into your screen and just kind of shielding him and allowing B.J. Daniels to pick up the first down. But he keeps running like that. He may need an IV once they take a timeout here.
Hand off to Murray. He's chopped down at the line of scrimmage. A note on B.J. Daniels and those 100 yards on the ground. He was only the 3rd quarterback to have rushed for more than 100 yards against this Florida defense since 1996. Dontrell Jackson of the Ohio Bobcats did it back in '02. Tommy Frazier went for 199 back in the national championship game back on that 95 season, but it was a 96 bowl game. So he's in some rare company. Daniels nowhere to go. Going backwards. Throws and it's picked off. Justin Tranto will take it to the end zone. 34 yards.
You're going to ask me why I don't put that interception on Daniels. I know he should have thrown the football away. I think he was actually trying to go to Stephen Bravo Brown. But great pressure by Brandon Hicks. But after you've run that much, and your quarterbacks run that much, just hand the football off for a 3-step drop, get the football out. A bootleg in that situation, he's tired, can't get anything on the football. It's tough. And nobody's really respecting any of the running backs toting the football right now. Demetrius Murray, he's been kind of shut down. But right here, nobody's expecting a running back to have it. Now, you've made all these moves. Get rid of the football. Throw it away. Throw it away. He's trying to get it out. He's actually trying to throw the football to Bravo Brown, the freshman receiver, and Justin Trotto steps right in front of him, and nobody's going to catch the big fella.
6'4", 255, hustling down the sideline for 6. Senior out of Ramsey, New Jersey.
That's a young quarterback trying to do too much, trying to will his football team to victory. And sometimes you just have to take what's there. If it's not there, throw it away and come back on 3rd down.
Take a look at our game summary brought to you by Woodman of the World Life Insurance Society of Omaha, Nebraska. 21 points off of 4 South Florida turnovers have resulted in a 28-7 score. South Florida just mashed the Gators in the opening quarter.
And it's still plenty of time in the football game for South Florida, the way they're capable of playing against Florida, because we've seen it, we've witnessed it. They can come back in this football game. You just got to eliminate the mistakes, the penalties before the ball snapped, as well, even more importantly, the turnovers have killed South Florida. But I didn't like that play call. The bootleg, after he's run that much, no way.
Line drive kick taken by Lamar. He's to the 20, out to the 30. Good return by South Florida, 31 yards on that return. And so the Bulls will come back out. Not a whole lot of time now for B.J. Daniels to catch his breath and regroup.
I'll tell you, he's spent. I mean, you're talking about hot. He's probably got as many or more carries than anybody in this football game.
15 carries. I mean, it's a landslide.
Yeah, in terms of rushing and still trying to get his football team. And he's a youngster. He's going to learn. Throw those footballs away. Throw it at the foot of the receiver. When you don't have anything for a screen, don't throw it up at the end of the half. And then throw the football away.
Nothing happening. A loss of 1. Sharif Floyd, another true freshman on the field for Florida out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, lays the hammer on Murray.
He's really picked things up and starting to play well, and he was considered the nation's top interior defensive lineman out of high school. And he is a load in the middle. Right next to him, Ronald Powell, another freshman, was the #1 overall recruit in the country. So they had a nice recruiting grab of those two guys.
Over the middle, pass is caught. Evan Landy off to the races. He's to the 20 and knocked out of bounds. A huge play for the Bulls, sets him up inside the 20, a 50-yard pickup, and Cody Riggs finally knocks him out of bounds.
Well, great throw and a great catch, but it's about a millimeter away from going the other way. And you're going to see right here Evan Landy working in zone coverage. I told you earlier, finds a soft spot, and he was just real close. A.J. Jones or Moses Jenkins almost comes up with that pick. Boy, nice concentration on the part of Evan Landy to make a big play for South Florida.
Out of the gun, here's Daniels. Will fake the pitch and keep it. Inside the 10, a big collision. A pickup of 12. He and Ahmad Black met face to face. A.J. Jones also went on that tackle. Let's go check in with Kara.
Well, guys, remember what USF head coach Skip Holtz told us about B.J. Daniels. He may be a sophomore quarterback, but in Holtz's offense, he's a true freshman in their terminology. I love Coach's analogy. B.J. has been speaking French, and we've been teaching him Spanish. It looks like he's multilingual on this drive.
It's 1st and goal for the Bulls. Here's Murray. Bounces around inside the 5, down to about the 3-yard line. Justin Trotto in on that tackle.
There's been a couple of drives where he's speaking about 4 languages, where he's looked so good, and then he shows you that he's still a young quarterback and still in the learning stages, especially of this offense. But there is no doubting that there is tremendous talent with B.J. Daniels.
Off the right side, big collision at the goal line, touchdown. Murray powers his way to the end zone, making it a 28-13 game.
Janos Estino, the right guard, actually threw a nice block inside and got Demetrius Murray. He's their goal line short yardage back. But I tell you, right there, that's what you do. You go down and you answer some points and take it one possession at a time. You've got an entire quarter to get back in this game. You know that you can move the football against Florida offensively.
I think Skip Holtz just learned a lot about his football team and their resiliency.
And his young quarterback.
Tied at 7. They give up 3 touchdowns in the third quarter, but they don't fold. And here it is, the touchdown from Murray.
Well, you see the double team inside on Teron Sanders, and that creates the push needed to get Demetrius Murray into the end zone. Nice blocks up front. Estenor, the sophomore, stepping in there, getting a nice block. That young man right there, he is trying to take it on his shoulders and will his football team back into this game. We got a lot of football left.
Once again, you saw Josh Evans, 24, free safety, and on that collision at the goal line, playing a lot of snaps tonight because Will Hill not playing this afternoon. Coach's decision. Look at the Bulls' recent drives and punt, fumble, punt, interception. And Florida has taken those turnovers and gone the other way with them for points. So this was, as we said, an important drive, I think, for the mentality of this team.
There's 14 points right there, the interception and the fumble. And otherwise, we pretty much got ourselves a tied-up ball game. Well, you cannot drop your guard with that young man back deep.
Jeffrey Demps to return this kick. Already a 62-yard touchdown run here in the third quarter. Remember, no Chris Rainey here in the second half. He was down with an injury. Well, here is the kick. It will sail down to the 5. Demps has plenty of blockers, and he's got plenty of speed. He just blows by the kicker and run out of bounds.
Well, that's sick.
At the 38-yard line, a 55-yard return. That's disgusting how fast he is.
But just watch right here the acceleration as he gets to the edge of the return. Right about there is when he decides, I'm going to hit this extra gear, and nobody can track him. If Dixon's not there, if Ricardo Dixon's not there, he is gone. Nice touchdown saving tackle or shove out of bounds by Dixon.
Today's First and 10 line brought to you by Toyota. See your local Toyota dealer for deals that will make you feel like an MVP. Flags everywhere. Brantley lofts it up, incomplete. Now I'll go against Florida. Matt Moore has been a busy man today. South Florida, 7 penalties. Florida now with their 8th penalty.
I don't know who it was on, but it was obvious because there were about 4 different flags that came flying in.
Number 55 of the offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
Big Mike Pouncey, senior center, and they put their most talented player at center. They like a big guy inside that can make all the calls, and they like to pull the center as well on certain plays, and not afraid to do that. Big Mike's had kind of a rough 2 weeks to start the season.
Well, you know what? He took the blame.
Yes, he did. He manned up. He took ownership in it.
Here's Moody, cuts it back. A couple on the play. That'll bring up second and about 18. But back to Mike Pouncey. You talked to Steve Adazio, the offensive coordinator, and he just his eyes well up when he talks about Pouncey, his relationship, and we'll see what Pouncey has left in the tank. Final 15 minutes coming your way. The Gators with an explosive 3-touchdown third quarter leads at 28-14. Today's SEC Network game is presented in high definition. Well, to start the fourth quarter, who else but Jeff Demps with the carry around the left side. Give him 18 yards on the carry. Give him 93 yards rushing today, 21 yards receiving, 95 yards in the kick game. So he is now up over 200 yards, 209 yards of all-purpose yardage.
Yeah, you know, Kara said that Urban Meyer told us that that speed kills. He didn't mention the fact that it kills fast because Jeff Demps is making it happen in chunks. Big yards per carry.
Here's the handoff to Demps again, to the 10, to the 5, and pushed out of bounds.
I think he might have just looked as though at the end of that run he started to cramp up a little bit.
25 more yards for Jeff Demps.
Yeah, Quentin Washington's going to miss Jeff Demps, but right here getting downhill, and then you see the balance, the explosion. I'm convinced he kind of pulls up a little bit right there as if he were cramping up a little bit. And now he's down on the field.
Yeah, he's got a cramp going on right now, but Jeff Demps, I'll tell you what, this Florida team in the second half, I have seen it more in the second half than I saw it watching the game last week. They have lined up and said, we're going to run this between the tackles. Good luck stopping us.
Yeah, and it's been by committee. I mean, I know Demps has broken off a couple of big runs, but Moody has contributed, and as well as Gillislee has come in and run the football well for Florida. And it's just wearing down a defense that's been on the field for a long time of South Florida.
See Dr. Pete Indelicato, longtime team doctor for this Gator team, attending to Demps, wearing the orange shirt.
You know, you mentioned that for his career, he's averaged over 7.5 yards per carry. Today, he's averaging 20 yards a carry. I think it's going to bump up just a tad.
I mean, it's 6 carries, 118 yards.
That's the fast that we were talking about. Don't mess around with it. Go get it in a hurry.
Fastest player in college football, the NCAA 100-meter champ. Also, he and Chris Rainey were part of the 4-man team that won the 4x100 relay at the NCAA champs as well.
We were talking before the game, and they had a little race. Rainey actually beat Demps.
When they were freshmen, right when they got on campus, everybody wanted to see who was faster.
Then he called up Noel Devine at West Virginia. They were down in Lakeland together and put one on him.
Moody hit in the backfield, dropped for a loss of 2 on the play.
In the parking lot of a Walmart.
That's how you do it, right?
Yeah. Hey, you want to talk noise? Let's take it to the parking lot.
How about that race? I'd like to line up Rainey, Devine, and Demps.
That's one heck of a 4x1 right there.
Boy, Grissom also cramping up the nose tackle. 6'3", 305 out of LaGrange, Georgia, just a sophomore. Folks, it is. When we went on the air at noon Eastern, it was 99-degree heat index. And honestly, it's got to be
by far the hottest game that I think I've ever been a part of the broadcast. I mean, easily the hottest game.
Talking to a couple of the writers back in the press room at halftime, and they were all saying they've been down here, some of them for 25 years, saying this is perhaps the hottest afternoon they can remember at the Swamp.
I see guys walking through here. And they're wringing their shirts out. Just standing in the press box watching. They're warm today.
Give Kara a little thumbs up down there. She's hanging tough. She hasn't gone down yet. There's a little inside toss to Burton. He stood up at the line as well. David Bedford with another outstanding defensive play for the Bulls. Feels like 103 now at the Swamp.
Humidity seems like it's more than 67%.
I think that's wrong. It feels like 113.
There's no doubt about it.
12:44 to go in the contest. South Florida would love nothing more than, at worst, just giving up a field goal here. But Florida looking at 3rd and goal now from the 7. Brantley to throw. Quick strike. Nearly intercepted. John Legis had it right in his hands and just couldn't hold on to the pass that had a little heat on it.
Yeah, it looked as though Legist was going to pick this football up, but he's got a cast of some sort on that right hand, and I think that prevented him from actually making the interception. He gets a nice break, and he can't get his hands up fast enough, and it's hard enough to pick it up, but then you rough playing with that thing on. Big old club on his right hand.
So Sturgis will step in from 22. He has missed from 39. And this field goal will split the uprights. So the Gators get 3 out of it, stretch their lead to 17, 12-20 to go in the contest from a hot, muggy swamp in Gainesville, Florida. It's our SEC Network Game of the Week. Outside the swamp, part of the big tailgating experience this afternoon here in Gainesville, Florida. And Regions Bank would like to recognize Andrew Ketchel from South Florida and Florida's Jeff Demps as the Regions Scholar Athletes of the game. In recognition of these athletes' performance on the field and in the classroom, Regions is proud to contribute $1,000 to South Florida and Florida's general scholarship funds on their behalf. Congratulations from Regions Bank, the official bank of the SEC.
Yeah, Jeff Demps doesn't just do it on the field, he does it in the classroom. Made the SEC Academic Honor Roll last fall.
Here's Lindsey Lamar. Nice return. He's out over the 35 to the 38-yard line, a 41-yard return. Gillislee in on that special teams tackle. But you see both Ketchel and Demps getting it done in the classroom.
Well, Demps, it's social and behavioral sciences.
Better known to many of us as sociology.
Yep.
I like to make it complicated. Can I keep it simple for guys like me?
Wants to coach. I want the exact term that they have, or they use here at the University of Florida.
First down and 10 for South Florida. Here comes a little pressure from the outside. B.J. Daniels continues to run around. Nowhere to go, and he's dropped back at the 33-yard line. Janoris Jenkins will get credit for the tackle.
You know, at quarterback, the toughest thing to teach a young quarterback coming out of high school who has had a great deal of success is that every play does not have to be a home run. And right here, trying to look for the home run results in a sack for B.J. Daniels.
So now you're looking at second down and 16. Four-man rush. Daniels going up top. Picked off! Janoris Jenkins. Jenkins runs out of bounds at the 44-yard line. Jenkins now with his second interception. A pass broken up, a sack, and for B.J. Daniels, his 4th pick of the afternoon.
And that right there, trying to go for the home run once again to Stephen Bravo Brown on the outside, working against Janoris Jenkins, and excellent coverage, and you see him there climb the ladder for the interception, and now starting to pick up blocks everywhere from his teammates. Well, that's a nice job, and B.J. Daniels right now just kind of feeling the pressure of trying to bring his team back.
Correct myself, second interception of the season for Jenkins. Nice grab again by Carl Moore.
Well, I like this Carl Moore. And I'm going to tell you this, John Brantley likes him as well, because you don't have to throw the perfect strike, but the 5 turnovers have been the story that have resulted in 21 points for the Florida Gators. But going back to Brantley and Moore, you don't have to throw the perfect pass. He's a guy that's got great hands, and he's making plays. I think he and Deontay Thompson have really stepped up in that passing game for Florida today.
Yeah, Carl Moore might be their go-to guy, that they've been dying to find somebody to be a leader in that group, and John Brantley will take a timeout. But Urban Meyer was unhappy with his performance from his guys at wide receiver, not just in terms of catching the football, but blocking. Seems like they might have put that all together as the Gators lead 31-14. College basketball fans, don't miss out on the action as 8 Division I men's basketball teams compete in the 5th annual Old Spice Classic in Orlando, Florida, November 25th through the 28th. Be sure to log on to oldspiceclassic.com to get your tickets to see those clubs that are in the field. Boston College, Cal, Georgia, how about Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and Wisconsin. Good field of teams. Yeah. 31-14, Gators out in front. Out of the I formation. That handoff goes backwards. Good penetration from Craig Marshall, the defensive end. A loss of 3 on the play.
He held the point of attack right there and then able to kind of beat 2 guys that were double teaming him to make the tackle on Demps. He actually was their leader in sacks coming back, registered 4 sacks in the last season. Split time between defensive tackle and DN last season. He's got 5 tackles today.
Gators will line up in the I again. Fullback TJ Pridemore. Here's Demps, quick feet, gets it to the 40-yard line. Give him 9, but that'll bring up a 3rd down and about 5.5. Sam Barrington and D.D. Lattimore in on the tackle for South Florida.
A lot of snaps for that South Florida defense. John Brantley just kind of quietly going about his business. 17 of 29 today, 170 yards and a touchdown pass. That pass to Carl Moore. But you talk about has thrown some nice balls today. John Brantley's been on the money.
Hand it off again to Demps. Demps will have the 1st down at the 33-yard line. Needed 6, got 8.
Really just wiggling his way in there. Got behind big Mike Pouncey, the senior center. Found a little crease and able to pick up the 1st down.
That's a tough day for big guys, isn't it?
It's a tough day for everybody, as hot as it is.
See Mike Pouncey, 6'4", 310, playing 1st year he's ever played ball without his brother. He's off in the NFL. Marquise. They might have fixed the snap issue. Let's see how they handle this one. Perfect snap. That pass a little bit late. Intended for Andre DeBose.
Dixon, Ricardo Dixon on the pass coverage there. A break on the football and step in front of that one and knock it down.
17 of 30 for a $170 for John Brantley today. B.J. Daniels 5 out of 20, 4 picks.
You know, in stats in terms of completion percentage, he's had to throw a few balls away and just to avoid a sack.
Moody. 7-yard line. Give him 6 on the play.
My point there, Dave, is that you don't account for that, and it shows up statistically, but it's actually a smart play where you don't take a sack, you throw the football away, come back on 2nd down, and it shows the maturity at that position.
Pridemore comes back on the field, the fullback wearing number 45.
That's getting it done right there. 84% win percentage for Urban Meyer. Bowling Green as a head coach, Utah as a head coach, and now here at Florida.
Here's Demps. Makes a man miss in the backfield. Gets a couple on 3rd down. I'll bring up 4th down in about 1.5 yards as Patrick Hampton gets credit for that tackle.
Jaquez Jenkins is the guy that had him in the hole, swung and missed. Demps gave it and took it away all in one motion. Left him standing right there, falling face down to the turf.
Demps today is behind that man. Mike Pouncey has had a career day rushing the football. 9 carries and a career high 136 yards for Jeffrey Demps this afternoon.
Big fella looks like he needs a break. This is a nice little timeout for big Mike Pouncey. Bring him some water.
Not a Gatorade. Not a good day for big guys. 31-14. 7:07 to play in the 4th. Florida on top by 17. Time to take a look at our Polaris hardest working player of the game, and it's got to be this man, Jeffrey Demps. Here's a look at a 62-yard touchdown run, and he has rattled off a career-high 136 yards on the ground. He has put together an outstanding afternoon of 252 all-purpose yards. He has been fun to watch today, our Polaris hardest working player of the game.
Got to be when you start cramping up like him. He's put in some hard work.
So on 4th down, and we'll call it 2, the Gators will go for it out of the eye. It's Moody, and he will pick up the first down right behind the center, Mike Pouncey, who has done a nice job today, and nobody got more criticism in the past 7 days than that man. For more on his story, let's go to Kara.
Well, naturally, guys, when Mike had the issues with the snaps, the first phone call that he made was to his brother, identical twin Marquise, snapping now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Marquise said, "Shake it off, man, and get to work. You can do this, and you know you can." I have more on that in a second.
Out of the eye. Here's Moody inside the 15. Let's go back down to Kara.
The best part of the story, of course, is that Marquise told Mike that he had been getting some ribbing from his Steelers teammates about Mike's struggles. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin even told Marquise Pouncey, "Hey, if your brother keeps screwing up, that could be good for us. We could sneak away with him in the first round of next year's draft."
Not a bad place to get drafted. Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round. Marquise Pouncey, you see it, and you see all the players, 9 to be exact, last year that were drafted from last year's football team here at Florida.
Here's Demps back on the field, cuts it back. Demps down to the 5-yard line. First down, Florida. Give him 9 more yards.
You know, before Kara told that story, I was wondering, you know, would they? You mentioned this is the first year he's played without his twin brother Maurice. If they indeed team up again at some point, maybe Mike's a Steeler at the end of the season or at next year's draft. It'd be kind of nice to see them side by side in a professional uniform.
Well, he has certainly come back. Only one bad snap today. That was a mishandled snap. That was back on their opening drive. I think the second play of the game. But since then, it's been steady Eddie up front for him.
He's tired now, but you can't get him out of the football game.
Out of the eye, they'll run behind Pouncey again. Moody. It's maybe a yard on the play before he is dropped the line of scrimmage.
He is exhausted, came over during that timeout, kind of kneeled down, and they got some water in him, and he won't come out.
How about South Carolina at home, taking down Georgia 17-6, the final score. Not much offense in the second half. That was a defensive battle, to say the least. 14-3 at the break.
I think Georgia's going to miss A.J. Green the next couple of weeks.
Out of the eye again on 2nd and goal. There's Moody down to the 2-yard line, and if nothing else, Florida just chewing up some clock here.
Well, they have gotten behind that big, experienced offensive line and started to rely on Jeff Demps and Emmanuel Moody. Mike Gillislee has been in, has had a touchdown run, but this drive it's been pretty much Moody.
In the first half, Florida threw the ball 22 times, ran it 11. But here in the second half, this has been a run-oriented offense. They line up in the eye. They've run it 23 times and thrown it 9 times. This is the 10th pass of the half, and it's for 6. Touchdown, Florida. Jordan Reed with the grab.
Nice job by the redshirt freshman Jordan Reed. New London, Connecticut, climbs the ladder and able to pull that one in. Pretty good touch on the football from John Brantley as well.
Here's Caleb Sturgis to attempt the point after. The hold from Chaz Henry is good, and the point after is good. Well, the Gators offense has come to play in the second half. It's been run-oriented, but when they needed to throw it, Brantley's been good. This time he hits Jordan Reed. Today's SEC Network game has been brought to you by Allstate. You're in good hands. The Toyotanomics event. 31 days of amazing deals on 16 different Toyota models. It's all our best thinking under one roof. Champion, it's how you play. Polaris. See the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicle now at your local dealer. Dr. Pepper. There's nothing like a pepper. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by the 5th annual Old Spice Classic, November 25th through the 28th in Orlando, Florida. Gators will kick it off. Lindsey Lamar, a couple of yards deep, will take a knee. 38-14, Gators out in front. Time to take a look at our Dr. Pepper unrivaled SEC leaders. Look at our passing numbers from week 1. Ryan Mallett was nearly perfect. 21 out of 24, 87.5%, 301 yards. Brantley in that first game, 17 out of 25, 113 yards. But a different story for Mr. Brantley today.
Boy, looking at that, I think even before the season, I thought Ryan Mallett and Arkansas, they are poised for a huge season. A lot of weapons offensively for that Razorbacks football team.
Bobby Eveld, true freshman quarterback, taking some snaps now. Marcus Shaw, another true freshman in at tailback. Here is Marcus Shaw. He'll try to turn the corner, and he is dragged down after a gain of 8 by A.J. Jones. But let's go back and take a look at what John Brantley has done today. Your thoughts?
Well, it was a little bit of a struggle early, had some protection issues, snapped a little bit high and outside, but then he settled in and found Carl Moore for the first touchdown pass, and really accurate with the football, going there over the top to Jordan Reed. 2 touchdowns today. He's really settled in and starting to really execute this Florida offense.
That handoff off the right side to Marcus Shaw. Brantley came in, 86 consecutive passes without an interception. He has thrown 31 today. I mean, this young man hasn't thrown an interception. I mean, he just
in his college career, don't want to jinx it. Maybe we should knock on wood or something. You're superstitious or a Gator fan, but has not thrown an interception. Didn't even come close to one today. Actually won, but you know, he's protecting the football and executing the offense the way it should be.
First down for South Florida as Marcus Shaw gets the carry. He'll pick up 6. Clock down to 2:40 and continues to tick.
It's kind of hard to replace Tim Tebow, but maybe that's John Brantley's claim to fame once he leaves the University of Florida, that he was a starting quarterback for 2 years and never threw an interception. That's one, that'd be a heck of an accomplishment, I'm telling you.
Eveld rolls, throws, passes caught. Gain of a couple of yards on the play. Tight end Shields with the reception. Take a look at our Good Hands play of the day, brought to you by Allstate.
Early in the football game here, you see him throwing to Carl Moore high and outside and just stretching to make the catch. And he had a few more of those. Yeah. Carl Moore has had a nice afternoon.
I think we'll see that combination hook up quite a bit here throughout this season. Brantley to Carl Moore. Eveld lofts it up wide open. It is Landy. It sails out of bounds. Leaves 1:37 on the clock. Now for this Florida team, a lot of questions about their offense. We talked about it, 13 yards of offense in the first half last week, a little over 200 total a week ago. Your thoughts, Andre, have they fixed their issues, or is there still a work in progress?
I think it's still somewhat of a work in progress, and from an identity standpoint of knowing what you're best at. And I think it's throwing the football around more with John Brantley, and not really subjecting him to trying to run the zone reads and things of that sort. I don't think defenses respect his ability to run. He can't move the pile like Tim Tebow did the past couple of years. So he is what he is, but what he is good enough and talented enough to win a lot of football games at Florida.
Gators will open up SEC play next week at Tennessee. Let's check in once again with Kara Capuano. Kara.
Well, guys, remembering what USF head coach Skip Holtz told us earlier this week, he wanted his team to be task-oriented, not result-oriented or dream-oriented with this game. A win here at Florida would have been incredible for South Florida's image. But as he pointed out to last year, the Bulls got that win at Florida State, but then went 3-4 in the Big East. Skip Holtz wants success in their conference first. I think his team learned a lot about itself today.
Fair catch called for by Janoris Jenkins.
And I asked him, is this kind of a measuring stick of where you want to go as a program? He said, yeah, it's right there in front of us. Florida has as good a program as there is in the country, and certainly, we'll learn a lot from this football game and going forward. Today it was that they just put the ball on the ground or turned it over too many times to give yourself a chance to win. 5 turnovers in a football game, that's going to get you beat 99.9% of the time.
Whether you're playing at home or here at the Swamp, that's a big number. Butler in at quarterback. Gain of 7. Today's 1st and 10 line brought to you by Toyota. See your local Toyota dealer for deals that will make you feel like an MVP. Toyota, moving forward. I think one thing that will at least temper discussions around here is the fact that there weren't many self-inflicted wounds by the Florida Gators today offensively.
And we were kind of just talking about it. Nice run there.
Mac Brown, the freshman out of Lithonia, Georgia, picks up 13.
We were talking about it before that, you look at the scoreboard, they've scored just 4 points more than they did last week, but it was just how it looked. A lot of mistakes, balls on the ground, 8 fumbles, 3 of them were lost, and things of that sort. But now the difference, 420 yards of offense where it was just 200 plus a week ago. That's going to fix the perception of this offense being a little stagnant.
Well, the South Florida Bulls came in here and they were game. There's no question. They came in here ready to play, and just the 5 turnovers, a little too much for Skip Holtz's club to overcome. And the very, very good friends shake hands at midfield. The Florida Gators will go to 2-0. The South Florida Bulls drop to 1-1. The story today was Jeff Demps, a career high on the ground today. 11 carries, 139 yards, a 62-yard touchdown run. And the Gators also figured out their snap issue out of the shotgun. And Urban Meyer will feel a little bit better, I assume, Andre, about today's game as opposed to 7 days ago.
Well, he talked about ball security and execution. I think he got both. They didn't put the football on the ground nearly as much as they did a week ago. Execution-wise, I thought they found a rhythm, especially in the second half, and they were able to kind of run away with this thing in the second half of the ball game.
So Florida wins at the 8th-ranked team in the country. The final 38-14, over 400 yards of offense for this Gator team. Join us next week from Oxford as we will bring you a conference matchup between the Commodores and the Rebels beginning at noon Eastern time. For Andre Ware, Kara Capuano, and our entire crew, I'm Dave Neal saying so long from Gainesville. This has been a presentation of ESPN Regional Television. Our studio crew will have it after the break.